Wagwan Road Boy. Today's video will be about the DEMUN Tri Strike from Barnett. I'm actually not sure if it's pronounced demon because it's demon written with an U. So maybe it's demon, DEMUN. I don't know, I'ma just call it demon in this video and you have to live with it. As you probably know, I have recently uploaded a detailed showcase of this crossbow with all its features, shooting test, chronograph test and things alike. So I won't go over these informations again in this video. This will just be a review. And this time we will actually begin with the price, because where I live this costs around 140 euros. And in America it's probably a bit cheaper than that, so maybe around the $100 range. I wanted to point that out in the beginning, because I think you should always keep in mind during this video that this crossbow only goes for around $100. So therefore it won't break any records, but also it won't break your bank. Let's start with some positive aspects about this crossbow, and as you can see, it is very small, very compact and therefore easy to maneuver. Also, it is very light and therefore you can carry it around with you all day. And then what also caught my attention is the fact that the bolts seem to be of very great quality. I honestly didn't expect that for some reason, maybe just because it's a fairly cheap crossbow. Not cheap in terms of quality, but price-wise. But then again, you have to remember that this is made by Barnett and they know what they're doing. Like a minute ago, I pointed out that this thing is very compact and very light, which is great, no doubt about that, but also it comes with a few disadvantages, I think. First, regarding its size, I do like the fact that it's so small, you can carry it around with you everywhere, all these things. You can even shoot it like a pistol, which also is a lot of fun, no problem at all. But it's also kind of weird to shoot it, because you always have to hold it like this, a bit apart from you. Putting the stock against your shoulder, like you would do with a rifle or a normal crossbow, I guess, just feels weird. When I have it like this, I just can't use the sides. I would have to go like this, but this isn't ideal at all. Almost reminds me of how people shoot their Draco. Now regarding the front grip, I do think it's a nice addition, but it can happen that when you pull on the crossbow too much, that the front grip just folds in like that. Also, if you have it in this position, you do have to watch out where your thumb goes. But, at first my body wanted to kind of put my thumb here, you know, and that's obviously not okay, because the thumb is in the danger zone right here. But you can also use this crossbow with the front grip folded in like this, and it's actually a bit more comfortable that way, I feel like. And then regarding the fact that this is almost completely made out of plastic, at least everything on the outside, I have a hard time finding anything about this that isn't made out of plastic besides the screws. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do think plastic makes sense on this crossbow because it's very cheap and also it's very light. But I do gotta say that I wish some parts on here would be made out of some kind of metal. As you can see, this part is made out of plastic as well. And if you look how the crossbow tilts naturally, then you can see that it's upside down now, and also it's heavier here in the front. So in case the crossbow ever falls down to the ground, chances are pretty high that it hits front side first. And then, because it is made out of plastic, chances are very high that it will just break, like it happened to me. I dropped the crossbow from around hip height, and as described, it turned around, fell on the front side and it broke. And now I don't have a rear front side anymore. There are screws on both sides, so you can definitely change out this part, which is kind of a fix for it, but I just wish that you wouldn't have to deal with that in the first place. Now when it comes to how this crossbow is cocked, I do think it's fairly easy, but I feel like it's a bit harder than it has to be. Don't get me wrong, it's not hard at all. Everyone can do it, I feel like. But if you have one hand here, the other here on the grip, like it's intended, and you cock the crossbow, there is a lot of stress here on this wrist. So you would have to have quite a lot of strength in your wrist to support the cocking motion. What helps, and what probably most people will do automatically, is to have a third point of contact. So if you put the crossbow against your chest, belly, hip or wherever, then you will have a lot more support and it will be much easier to cock the crossbow. For around 1/3 of the price of a normal crossbow, you get something that does all the things that it should do perfectly fine. As mentioned, this won't break any records, but honestly, if you want a crossbow that breaks records, speed, accuracy or range-wise, then you will have to invest like 2,000 euros. And even if you only want to get a very good pistol crossbow with multiple shots of capacity, then you would have to invest around $500. So again, much cheaper than that. I do see a lot of purposes that this can be used for. The obvious one here is that it's perfect for beginners. Not only because it's cheap and therefore you don't have to invest that much just to get a feeling of what it's like to shoot a crossbow, but also this performs fairly good and it's very easy to set up and you just can grab it and get going and you're done. What I also see this being used for is, let's say you have a very expensive crossbow that's maybe also used for hunting. It will most likely need a lot of maintenance. Using the more expensive crossbow will also be more tedious because it does require more preparation to get going. It's also heavier to carry around. If you lose a bolt or break a bolt, it's super expensive and all these things. With this crossbow, you can just grab it, get a few shots off and done. And also because this crossbow doesn't have too much power, I feel like this can even be used inside if your rooms are big enough. So would I recommend it? As always, it comes down to what you intend to use this crossbow for. I'd say if you have an idea of what you want to use this for, then this won't disappoint you. Thanks for watching. Bless and love.